Hi there, it's the Catalyst Sessions for Fabulous Friday, and I'm Bill DeYoung, and I'd like to introduce you to Roy Peter Clark. Roy has authored something like, is it 19 books about writing? He's been teaching writing at the Poynter Institute here in good old St. Petersburg for 41 years. He's also a friend of ours and a funny guy, musician, poet, dreamer, schemer, entrepreneur, all that stuff. Hey, Roy, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing terrific, but I need you to kind of remind me what month this is.
I think it's September. No, it's October, right? I know it's Friday.
So, just this whole idea about how the world, how it seems as if we've entered this comic book bizarro world in which all the things we took for granted no longer exist in the same way, and things which were of little importance are now of great importance. Things that we never saw before, we're seeing all the time now. So my wife and I, in the late mornings usually, we'll drive downtown. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's just a drive to get out of the house. Sometimes we'll stop at one of the outdoor coffee shops, safe, tables separated, everybody's wearing their masks, except when they're knocking down their lattes. And I've noticed this, is that every time we go out, and it happened this morning, I see a medical mask lying in the gutter. Not the same one, but someone said, it used to be on a rare occasion, you'd see like a used prophylactic, like tossed out of a car window, like right into the street or something like that. Now, I'm not sure I've never known how to pronounce this word. Someone schooled me and said the pronunciation is detritus. I always thought it was detritus, D-E-T-R. I-T-U-S.
Oh, I thought it was detritus.
Detritus, right? So
one of us is right, probably.
It's the shit we leave behind.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's that stuff, and now it's latex gloves. It's you go down to the waterfront and just look out on the water, and you're going to see one of those masks kind of drifting by.
Well, the way I look at it is, I'm just glad it's not like hypodermic needles or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And they used to say in New Jersey that there were like, needles and syringes floating up on the beach and stuff. Masks. I don't know. It's very topsy-turvy these days. Mm-hmm. I can remember going into, Publix or whatever, and every great once in a while you'd see somebody wearing a mask, and and that was abnormal in a social way, and you sort of think, oh, either they were big Michael Jackson fans, or they have somebody who maybe had SARS and they were just trying to be careful. But now if I go in there and I see somebody without a mask, I turn into a vigilante, and I want to go report them, and I want to get a mob together and start swinging bats at them.
So one of the things that I've found myself doing is trying to not let the requirements of social distancing turn the tap off completely on human interactions.
Yeah.
So, for example, I'm much more attuned than I used to be to all the people who are working at Publix or the grocery store. Mm-hmm. I have to say, I was one of those kids when I was 16 or 17.
Yeah.
On Long Island.
Well, what do you mean you're more attuned to them?
Well, I'm so glad they're working, not just for them, but for me. For us. Never thought of them as essential workers, or the people who drive the trucks to bring the toilet paper from wherever it is,
Yeah.
to here to St. Petersburg.
Yeah.
And I remember, what's a nice thing is that the people who work at these places have name tags. So every chance I get, I try to address them by name. There were two young women at the checkout line at Publix, and one of them was named Destiny,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one was named McKinley. And both young women, and McKinley said, I said to McKinley, that's such an interesting name. I said, it means a lot to me because from the time I was 4 years old to the time my mom and dad passed away, the family house was on McKinley Avenue on Long Island, New York. She said to me, he said, "Yes, sir. You told me that last time you were in." So I said, "Oh yeah, McKinley. Was named after President McKinley. Somebody shot him."
They saw you coming.
So
here comes that guy again with the McKinley story.
Then the other lady, I said to the other young woman, I said, someday if you get married and have an offspring, I said, that's going to be Destiny's Child. And now McKinley was impressed.
Oh, right. Okay. There's a Beyonce reference in there somewhere.
So I lost a little credibility and I gained a little credibility, but I never had those kinds of interesting just conversations.
Yeah.
With, people working hard for themselves, and as it turns out, for all of us. So
I think it's really what I've noticed. It's really interesting that with everybody wearing a mask, down here on the bottom part of their face, you're just looking at eyes.
Yeah.
And it's like the great equalizer for some reason. For me, we just connect through eyes and we talk, but I don't get any sense of like a sour face or an angry face or bored or pissed off or biased or anything. We're all in this together and we're just connecting this way. It's very interesting to me. And I've been doing a lot of what you've been doing in Publix. I don't think I've embarrassed myself yet, but give it time.
So I don't know if it's a cliche or it's an old proverb saying is that the eyes are the windows to the soul.
Sure. I think it's a George Jones song, but yeah.
Yeah. And I have to say that how often now I've seen some men who Paul Newman was famous among women for having these gorgeous blue eyes.
Oh yeah, right.
And Frank Sinatra. So this I don't mean to be. I don't mean this to sound sexist, but I've just been noticing women wearing masks, sometimes funny, interesting fashion masks, which have designs and they're accessorizing, but how beautiful their eyes are. Women of all ages, and like I said, men too.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, though. It's you don't see lines on people's faces, and I think I have an angry-looking face. Mm-hmm. I was telling my wife this the other day. They're much nicer to me in Publix now that they can't see the bottom part of my face, because I think I just look angry all. And I'm not angry at all.
I did a little experiment where So I guess I'd say my first celebrity crush, going way, way back, because I came from an Italian-American family on my mother's side, was Sophia Loren.
Mm.
And there are photographs of her that are unbelievably
I know.
beautiful.
Mine was Anne Margaret, but I'm
Oh,
with
there you go.
Yeah.
And so I took one of these photographs. I think I did this on Facebook, where I took Sophia Loren's old photograph, beautiful photograph of her eyes, and I put just an index card like over here, and it was like overpowering. It was I don't know, almost Medusa-like, in terms of like the power of this. So I think this is what we're talking about, is just an example of the things that the new set of circumstances have influenced or even forced us to notice. Things from people's faces, things that people leave behind, how they're behaving, how we are all behaving in public spaces, those that we can occupy, but also nature. The way the water looks, the way the sky's been looking, given maybe the absence of the decrease in human activity, right? The way the birds are acting. And I think if you're a creative person, this is exactly what you need. So I want to tell you, I'm going to just show my t-shirt. Can I just rise up a little bit here?
Very nice. Okay, you need to explain that one though.
So, so my wife and I, her name is Karen. We spent March, April, and into May with a very nice routine that we developed, which included breakfast followed by a walk. And we had chosen about a dozen locations around the city, mostly parks, where we could walk along the waterfront. Some parks that we knew that were very familiar to us, like Crescent Lake and Lake Vista, but some new ones that we weren't aware of. Now, what happened, of course, is that it got so damn hot. Can we stipulate that it feels hotter to me, among other things? It's not what we needed at this moment in time.
Well, it's hot behind a mask, that's for sure.
Yeah. And it drives us back inside. Now, one of the places that you can walk safely, I believe, is the Tyrone Square Mall. And Karen and I made a habit of that over a period of 4 years when she, at different points, was recovering from breast cancer treatments, from chemotherapy and radiation. And they said exercise. It was hot in the summer. We went to the mall. We got there. We went in. It's air conditioned, high ceilings, And now, last couple of times I've been there, people have really been, I would say, on their best behavior. And the security guard is walking around with a handful of masks for people who don't have. So people watching is a fun thing to do while we're walking. And Karen says to me, "Look, Santa's wearing a mask." And there was this old biker dude, and with a big, long white beard and this brilliant blue medical mask. Now, where does inspiration come from for writers? Sometimes the muse just reaches down from out of the sky and hands you something.
Oh, if you look for it, you'll never find it.
Santa wore a mask. Now, I have a habit of I've done this. I did this with my children when they were very young, of creating silly Christmas songs, sometimes with Florida themes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the most famous being Christmas Without Snow. You know.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So.
Is there a song in all this? Is that where you're leading us?
Yeah, it's a song, and the Times published the lyrics a couple of weeks ago, and I've been working on it. What I did was I cheated. I played the. I was too lazy to think of a new melody, so I said, "Well, the old melody of Christmas Without Snow is mine, so why not try it?"
Yeah,
So,
plagiarize yourself. Go ahead.
all right, so I'm going to recite. I won't do the whole thing. Actually, I've never performed it before, so this is a world premiere. So I'll do a little of it a cappella. Let's see if I get the key right, though. A pandemic came our way, would it spoil our Christmas day? But until it went away, Santa wore a mask. Now, let's stipulate for a second, Bill, that Santa is probably in a particularly vulnerable category when it comes to COVID.
He gets around.
Well, first of all, he's a little overweight.
Yeah.
All right?
Right.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if he had type 2 diabetes. Who the heck knows? He's of a certain age, and
A lot of sugar.
he's traveling around. He's traveling around. So, and he cares about us. He cares about us so much. Why wouldn't he wear a mask? Right? Okay, here we go.
Right.
Yes, he has a fuzzy beard, and the mask might look quite weird. But in spite of what we feared, Santa wore a mask. Okay, here's the chorus. Wear your mask, Santa may ask, if you've done this task. Hey, don't drink from my flask. That's just a little, yeah, because no one wants to do that, even on a holiday. With a pandemic.
That's my favorite line so far.
All right, here we go. Let's see if it gets any better. Social distance was the way reindeers pulled on Santa's sleigh. At 6 feet distance they would stay. Santa wore a mask. Your elbow is the place to sneeze. Don't cough virus in the breeze. That curve will flatten if you please. Santa wore a mask. Okay, then you repeat the chorus.
Okay.
Now, here is, I don't know, it borders on art, but I'll let the audience decide.
Okay.
If the Grinch is feeling grouchy and all stank and kinda slouchy, hook him up with Dr. Fauci. Santa wore a mask. If a fevered Susie Snowflake turns into a crispy cornflake, please dispense with hugs and handshakes. Santa wore a mask. And then the chorus. Now, the finale. Santa won't be at the mall to hear the children's greedy call. A truck, a doll, I want it all. Santa wore a mask. Saint Nick may miss your living room, but don't be sad or filled with gloom. He will visit via Zoom. Santa wore a mask.
I think you're Grammy bound, my friend. You may have just written the song of the year.
Well, let's see. And we might as well start thinking about Christmas now, right? I mean, Christmas in July.
Oh, so it's July. That's right. That's what month it is.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, July 20. I don't remember, but it's July.
You know, it's always, what's so interesting in terms of my work, Bill, is like, So I find the writing I have been doing over the last, let's say, 3 to 4 months has been the most serious and the least serious of my professional career.
Explain.
So I think it was an issue that all of us faced as writers, as citizens, as people, on 9/11. My cousin, my first cousin, Teresa Marino, was in the, she survived, thank God, but she was on the 56th floor of Tower 1 when the plane hit the tower. Mm. And she was able to walk down all those flights of steps and was able to survive and saw some terrible things, including firefighters and rescue workers coming up the stairway as people were coming down the stairway, and her later coming to understand what happened to to those heroes.
Yeah.
So, like, certain things at that point didn't feel right to me as a creative person. I wasn't writing any funny songs, I was less inclined to be ironic. It felt like a time where you needed to be more serious, more consoling, more collective in your sensibilities, that something terrible had happened to all of us and that things wouldn't change. I'm not sure if I've ever seen, I don't think I've ever seen parody related to 9/11 or, I mean, it just seems like this sacred territory.
I can't imagine it now.
That you can't, you shouldn't violate.
Yeah.
I think the current circumstances, I don't know why, but I think the current circumstances lend themselves to both the most serious and empathetic kinds of writing, but also to escape hatches, to relief valves, to providing a kind of creative medicine that, if we all take it, will help us muddle through or survive. So just the other day, I was writing a very simple Facebook post. And what had happened was that a friend of ours had been hospitalized for COVID.
Yeah.
Had been in intensive care. He's out, seems to be doing well, thank goodness. But we had seen him once or twice downtown, at the coffee shops. So I was absolutely dreading the idea of going and getting tested. There were too many stories about waiting on lines for 6 hours and having to wait days and days for the results. And as we were driving around downtown, without symptoms, Karen noticed a sign down by the Mahaffey Theater saying that they were doing COVID testing. And we drove through, and in 15 minutes, middle of the day, we were in and out. And about 3 days later, through this app that we had downloaded, we got the results that no COVID was detected.
Okay, that's great.
But what was interesting is that I felt the need. I said, I want to share this experience
Mm-hmm.
with my pals in St. Pete. And so I wrote about it on Facebook, and I just gave like the 10 steps that we went through
Mm-hmm.
during this 15-minute period of time, and how professional it was, and how easy it was, and how it's not, you're not going to find too many people, shoving swabs way up their nose, but it tickled and burned a little bit, and had
I
a little.
remember, and Karen felt like she was going to sneeze, but wasn't.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
I do remember that. Yeah.
And so, what was so interesting was that how many people messaged me directly or indirectly afterwards, saying how helpful that was, and how they went down and got tested, and they had a similar experience. So, in a way, we're all journalists right now, or if people are uncomfortable with that, we're all public writers.
Mm-hmm.
And whether we're writing for the Catalyst or the Times or social media, whether we have a large audience or a small audience, our messages now mean more than they used to, and that goes whether someone is sharing a really funny cat video, or I saw a dog video where the dog is playing the piano. It was a beagle, and howling and singing.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah, that's great.
Oh my God, he sounds better. He sounds better than I did. So, yeah, I've written about some really serious stories. Usually, I'm writing about serious things that other journalists are writing about. Mm-hmm. I wrote about a 19-year-old college freshman at Indiana named Mary Claire Malloy, who was a student of my good friends. You may know them, Tom French and Kelly Benham French, mm-hmm. Who used to, write wonderful stuff for the Times, and now they teach it in Indiana. And Mary Claire is their student. He's a 19-year-old woman. On the night after social protests about police brutality in Indianapolis, and she hooks up with a veteran photographer, a photojournalist, who has his own little news website. So she's writing for him. And her mom drove her into Indianapolis, into the city. And they went to the site where the night before, one of two people had been shot and killed, mm-hmm. Sometime during the protest. And they came upon a man who was on his hands and knees with a bucket of water and bleach and a brush in his hand, trying to scrape the blood stains off of the sidewalk that this man who had been shot and killed the night before, had left behind. Yeah. What they didn't know, what no one knew until later that day, was that man who had died had gone to school with the man who was on his hands and knees, that they knew each other. And this stain was so pervasive that it took 2 days of scrubbing before it came out. And here's this young woman stepping up, kind of in the, I equated it to the spirit of Jimmy Breslin finding the grave digger and interviewing the grave digger who prepared the grave for JFK's burial back in 1963. Everybody else was interviewing celebrities.
Yeah.
Jimmy Breslin found the grave digger. And the other thing
she wrote about this guy. Then.
She wrote about him, and it was an astonishing piece of writing. And so many people who read this piece were moved by it and astonished by Mary Claire's commitment and skill at getting it right. And then both of us, so I wrote about this, and I interviewed Mary Claire.
Mm-hmm.
And she winds up getting a message through me to her from Kevin Breslin, Jimmy Breslin's son,
right,
saying how proud his father would be of her.
How nice is that?
So, you know, to be able to move from that to the Grinch going to Dr. Fauci because he's feeling a little grouchy, I don't know, feels right to me in terms of the creative process at this moment in time.
Before we go, where can I read what you wrote about Mary Claire and that piece? Tell the folks where you've written about it. Is it on the Pointer site?
Yeah, it is on the Pointer site.
It'll take us to what she wrote, yeah?
And it's been reprinted many times.
So it's pointer.org.
Pointer.org. If you search under my name and blood on the sidewalk or
wow,
something like that.
Well, Roy, thank you for sharing that and other stories with it. Always a pleasure to check in with you.
Okay.
And
listen, let's do it again.
Let's do it again. Couple of weeks, man. You'll be back here again. I can't wait.
Okay,
and,
well, thank you.
I'll be able to tell you about my adventures in the former Tiki Gardens next time.
Awesome.
Roy, take care, buddy.
Bye-bye.